This is the entire September update of my stock market portfolio. Jumping right into it, for the past month, my portfolio has been up $1,585. This number is going to change a bit since the crypto market is still open, but we can say it's up $1,500. For the past 3 months, it is up 2.6% or $3,000. And for the past 6 months, it is up 5.72% or $6,700. If you look at the yearly performance, it is up nearly $13,000 or 11.5%. If I scroll down here, you can look at all of my individual accounts with the TFSA, FHSA, and RRSP being up, my non-registered being down, and my crypto being down 21%. My TFSA is my most mature account, and as you can see, yearly it is up 17.13%. I'm happy with that performance. FHSA also not bad, up 14.17% yearly. This is an account made by the Canadian government to help first-time homebuyers by allowing them to withdraw whatever amount is left in this account tax-free and put it towards a down payment for buying a property. RRSP is also up 5.70% over the last year, and the non-registered, which I'm not that concerned about, is down 1.32% over the last year. But these are all long-term holdings, so I'm not really concerned with the short-term fluctuation of the stocks in this. As for my buys, my biggest buy will always be the S&P 500, the 500 biggest companies in the United States of America. These 500 companies have returned 10% annualized over the last 40 years and are not looking to slow down in the future as well if you hold long enough. I also bought the NASDAQ 100, or the 100 biggest companies in the United States of America. This is very tech focused. If tech is not your jam, I do not recommend even touching this. It's extremely tech dominated. But being around tech all my life, I see tech doing well in the future as well. Everything that we use, from this mic to this camera or the laptop I'm looking at right now, is all technology. So tech companies do look like they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I also bought a leveraged S&P 500 ETF in USSL. This essentially takes the S&P 500 and adds 25% leverage onto that. In simple terms, if the S&P 500 goes up 10%, this is going to go up roughly 12.5% minus leverage costs. So let's just say it goes up 12%. This is an extremely long-term play. I understand that on the flip side, if the S&P 500 goes down 10%, this is going to go down 12.5% and even more. But I do think over the long term, this might turn out to be a good investment given my bet of the market actually increasing in value over time. I also bought the Canadian S&P 500 or the TSX 60 through this ETF called VTY. And essentially this is because I want to partake in the Canadian economy as well. I am going to be living here in the future. Even now I'm living here, so why not partake in some of the biggest companies in Canada, including the banking institutions, the insurance companies, the telecom providers, all of the lovely Canadian oligopolies. I put some money also in a leveraged total market ETF. This is like USSL, except it also takes into account Canadian equities and other equities as well. If the total market goes up 10%, once again, this is going to go up 12.5%. A long-term play, not too much money into this, as you can see, compared to the actual S&P 500 and the actual NASDAQ 100, but just something to keep me interested, and if the performance is good, I might actually add more money into this investment. As for my individual company buys, my biggest buy was Microsoft, which is, I just looked at this price, 568 Canadian dollars is, that is a lot of money. But I do think Microsoft is a good company to invest in. Not an extremely large percentage of my portfolio goes into any individual company, but Microsoft is one of the biggest ones. Microsoft Office, Azure Cloud Services, now OpenAI partnership, and Azure OpenAI. They have tons of things going on for them, extremely sticky products being used for decades. Excel in the finance industry. If Excel goes from the finance industry, I'll give away everything I have because I'm so confident that is not going to happen. Revenues increasing, profit margins expanding. I think it's a good investment given their future potential as well. I also invested in Procter & Gamble, bought one share there. Consumer goods behemoth. If you eat cereal, they supply it. If you need toilet paper, they supply it. If you need air freshener, they supply it. If you need lights, they probably make that as well. Procter & Gamble has steadily been increasing their margin and increasing their revenue over the past few years. They have the ability and the cash reserves to buy companies and products that are doing well in grocery store chains and have those partnerships throughout the world as a global presence to keep on increasing this margin. This is also more of a dividend play where they have increased their dividends 7% over the last 5 years and even the last 10 years. That's why I bought one share of P&G. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, smash the like button and the comment button if you want to learn more about money, how to make more, save more, or just understand it better. I have to do that for the YouTube algorithm. I hope you understand. My last two investments were covered call ETFs in HYLD that tracks the S&P 500 roughly, and HDIV that tracks the TSX 60 roughly. Covered call ETFs are extremely controversial. They sacrifice potential growth for income now, but for me, this is more of a dividend play and an income play to keep me motivated to keep on investing. To be honest, I've seen months where my portfolio has been down thousands of dollars and months where my portfolio has been up thousands of dollars, but that for me is not technically real money in the sense that I'm not going to realize that until I sell. And that is not going to be way down the line since I am young for now. Well, not for now, I am young at this moment. What this does is it increases some income and gives my portfolio some sort of income boost for now that keeps me motivated to save, since seeing that money hidden every month is a motivating factor, at least for me. I'm going to be completely honest. I know maybe it's not that rational from a total return perspective, but if I can save 10% more or 12% more every year, just because I keep myself motivated, I think that's a better deal for me. As for sells, no sells for now. I am a long-term investor, even though some companies are piquing my interest, especially Snowflake now. Snowflake is a software company providing services on the data cloud, or essentially helping companies manage their data more efficiently, getting more insights from their data, and managing the A to Z data pipeline. This stock has tanked for me. I've lost nearly 50% on this, which is, yes, it's not that bad since it's only a few $100s, but I might be better served selling this and investing it in the S&P 500 or NASDAQ 100. Although I'm probably not going to do this, and actually I'm not going to do it if I'm being honest, just because I am a long-term investor and I do see the long-term potential in Snowflake. They have a top-notch product, their revenues are expanding, they just need to work on their margins to get the market back on their side. Speaking of holdings, it is now time for the holding breakdown. Most of my money is in the S&P 500 to the tune of nearly $36,000 now. I am up 20% on this, with my second biggest holding being the Canadian S&P 500 or VDY at $21,000. I am up nearly $2,000 on this, or 10.28%. My other ETFs, HSQ, the NASDAQ 100, I have nearly $5,000 here, and I am up 1%, which I'll take this. The NASDAQ 100 has been down a lot in the last few months. I still think it is a good long-term investment. HEQL, or the Enhanced Global Market ETF that I own, nearly $2,000, up 3% there, not bad. And the two covered call ETFs, HYLD, I am up 7.19%, with my total amount invested being $7,773, and HDIV nearly $6,000, and a return of 5.45%. Keep in mind, these ETFs have a much higher yield as well when it comes to the amount of income generated, which we will get to later. For individual holdings, Microsoft is my biggest position, $5,700, up 16% on this. Actually, Apple is my single biggest holding with $6,183 and a return of 28% over the last 2 years that I've been investing now. Other bigger holdings include Google at around $3,400, return of 5.71% here, and other Canadian companies as well, like the Bank of Nova Scotia, having returned me 6%, and Manulife Financial, $1,700 invested with a return of 30.5%. This has been one of my best returners so far. Some of the smaller holdings include Fortinet, a cybersecurity company that I really believe in. The products are good and the market is expanding for cybersecurity, has returned me 15% already. My biggest stable company holdings include Pepsi and P&G, both at around $3,000, with Pepsi having returned only 3%, but P&G having returned 16.58%. My smaller holdings include Fortinet, like I've talked about, Pfizer, which is more of an opportunistic play. They tanked after earnings. I bought some. I am down on this, but going to hold for the long term. And other Canadian companies like BCE, Enbridge, stable companies in the telecommunication industry and the oil industry. And not to forget Shopify, another opportunistic play, but I'm up 33.81%. Got lucky on this one. Have not added after that, and honestly don't plan on doing so. One holding I forgot to mention is AXP, or American Express. I really believe in the credit card market. Credit is expanding and increasing, not just in the United States or Canada, but throughout the world. And with travel returning to normal levels, American Express is a major player in the travel credit industry. It is up 7% for me, not that high of a return because I just bought this, but I am looking to add to this position in the future as well. My biggest losers are Snowflake and Intel, two companies that have given me a lot of hurt. I am going to keep on holding these. No real hopes for these, except hopefully 10 years down the line, I can I can look at this and say I made the right choice by holding. There's no logic that goes into this. And no, the title of the video is not wrong. It is actually $148 something thousand because I have an employer match RRSP. Essentially, in the United States and in Canada, maybe other countries as well, employers motivate you to save by matching a percentage of your saving and investing that for you in a retirement plan. I took advantage of that. Whatever I put in, my employer matches up to 4% and invest in a mutual fund of my choice. Although the fees for mutual funds is extremely high at 2 or even 2.5%, the thing to note is it is an automatic 100% return for you as long as you get that match. So even with the high fees, you are making, let's say, a 98% return, which is extremely good for any sort of investing, basically doubling your money just for saving in a retirement plan. I took advantage of it, and I encourage my family and friends to look at this as well, since for me, an average investor, this is a good deal. So the total balance here is $23,883, around $24,000, and I personally only put $10,000 in this. My employer has put $10,000, and through the match plus this good growth of $3,500, we get this $24,000 number. Essentially, I'm making $14,000 for having invested $10,000. That is how I look at it. Plus, you also get your tax back in Canada for investing in the RRSP. So I'm gonna get even more money back and my tax deferred to a time where I'm much older and maybe even in a lower tax bracket. Moving on to my favorite portion of the video, and maybe also the favorite portion of someone watching this, the dividend portion. This portfolio now is up to $4,143.57 in dividends. That is $345 a month, $11 a day. I just want to contextualize this number is basically I've bought myself 3 pizza slices every day for doing nothing. Maybe that's not the best example, but for me, that's just insane. I bought myself some food that I can eat, that I can survive on, just for investing in the stock market. No matter if the stock price goes up or down, I'm gonna get this $11 no matter what. The yield is 3.33%, which again is a bit misleading because it doesn't take into account that $24,000 that we just saw in my employer RRSP. The yield on cost is 3.7%, which basically means that the total value of my investments has gone up, decreasing the yield overall. My biggest pair is the covered call ETF, HYLD, which pays me around $1,000 in dividends. And a few other big pairs include BDY, the Canadian S&P 500 at $867, HDIV, the covered call ETF tracking the TSX 60 and some other things at $765, VFV, the S&P 500 at $364, and then comes my dividend paying stocks, which is a big part of my investment thesis, is buying companies that expand dividends over time and not just the stock price appreciation. Bank of Nova Scotia and TELUS, telecommunications and banking not going anywhere in Canada anytime soon. Pepsi and P&G, consumer staples, not just in America and Canada, but throughout the world, any developed or developing country. You can literally see Pepsi adverts in any country you go, perhaps except like one country. BCE, Enbridge, and Manulife Financial, telecoms, oil and gas, and insurance, industries that are just expanding in Canada and not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm getting tired of saying that at this point. But some other companies like Apple and CIBC also contributing to my dividends. In the month of September, I'm expected to receive $336.86 in dividends. And with $300, I can in fact buy this extremely nice GoPro. I'm not gonna do it, but just to show you the power of dividend investing, I used to receive $50 or $60 every month, and now I'm receiving $336, which is extremely tangible, allows me to buy things that I want, which I'm not gonna do, of course. However, I can if I want to. I'm just gonna reinvest this and watch this grow and snowball, and hopefully a year from now, I can buy maybe 2 of these. In terms of the future plans I have for this portfolio, I want to grow this to $150,000 by the end of the year, which is looking extremely likely given the stock market doesn't crash. The price appreciation alone and the dividends alone might do that for me, which was my goal at the start of the year, and I'm extremely satisfied and happy that I accomplished it. Another goal is growing this dividend income that you just saw to $400 a month. That would be a really ridiculous number for me personally. Starting investing and earning $20 in dividends every month to now $400 shows you what consistency and constantly building your portfolio, staying motivated, saving heavily does. And it's just a motivating factor for me to grow this not to just $4,800, but maybe even $10,000 one day, or $20,000, or 20 million. Maybe that's too much, but you see what I'm getting at. Smash the like button and the comment button if you enjoyed this, if you want to learn more about money, how to save it or invest it, or just understand it better. See you in the next one.